Hi everyone, welcome to Prompt and Build. In this channel, we are going to create some applications just using the modern AI tools. So in this particular video, we will be creating the to-do based basic Python API using ChatGPT. So we will just be using some prompts to build our code, and we'll be testing that code, and I'll show you how we'll be able to create simple applications using ChatGPT very quickly. So without any delay, let's get into ChatGPT, and let me get the prompt, the initial prompt that we can use to create our application. So let me paste it over here. So let me explain what this prompt is. So here I'm mentioning that I would like to create a simple REST API based application, and this needs to be basic backend only application. So I'm explaining ChatGPT that I'm creating a REST API based application, and it needs to be only backend, and we need to use the language as Python. And here I'm describing the app description, and I'm mentioning that this is an application which manages the to-do list. So this gives ChatGPT the context about the requirements that are required in this particular app. And this should be having only 4 main CRUD operations: get, post, patch, and delete. And I am asking ChatGPT to use an in-memory list to store the items. Do not create any database. This actually creates additional complexity as of now if you are creating databases. And coming to the technical requirements part, there will be multiple APIs that we will be creating. So for the get, there will be 2 APIs. One will be to fetch all the records at once, and the another one will be to fetch the record by an ID. And post is the creation part. I'm saying this will be creating the to-do item. So it needs to accept certain fields, which I'm mentioning here: title of the item, description for the same, criticality of the item, urgency of the item, and due date for the same. So this means that it will be creating all these fields along with the due date, which is taken from the user. I'm also mentioning that in the background, create a unique UID for ID and store the time at which the item is created. So there are 2 more fields I'm asking ChatGPT to store, and these 2 fields will be auto-generated in the code, and return the ID after creation. And then I'm mentioning that status needs to be open initially. So status is another field which it will be creating, and it will be open initially. And coming to the patch part, patch is used for updating the items. So user should be able to update any field of the item. So we have like multiple fields that we are creating using the post API. So any of these fields can be updated at any point of time, and user should be able to use the unique ID to update this. And user should be able to mark an item as in progress or done as well using this API. That means status initially will be open, and it can be converted to in progress or done as well. And delete, if the user wants to delete, they should be able to delete it using the ID. And only the open and in progress items can be deleted. So this is a validation that I am adding. So this shows how ChatGPT is actually adding validations and how it is handling the stuff there. Then I'm giving some prompt on Python specific things. So I'm asking it to create a virtual environment, and asking it to give some steps on how we can install the required packages. Okay, let's hit this prompt and see what ChatGPT will generate. Okay, setup instructions. So I think it gave all the information that is required. So it is giving the setup instructions first. Then it is saying how we can install the required packages, and how we'll be able to create the REST API. So this main.py is completely about all the endpoints that we have, that we asked it to create, and then how we can run this application. So without any delay, let's get started. So let's open our Visual Studio. I already created a folder for this here. So let's get into stuff. So first thing it is asking us to do is create a virtual environment. So we have Python 3 installed already here. Let's just verify it once. So it is already available. If in case you are having any trouble installing Python, or like in any of the steps that I am mentioning in this video, you can reach out to me in comments and I'll explain more about it, or create a separate video for that. So the first step is to create the virtual environment. So I'm just copy pasting this stuff. So here it says that we can add it. So it has created the virtual environment to do env. You can see that the folder is created here. This is to activate that virtual environment, so I'm just activating it. If it is on Windows, you actually have to do this thing. So this is on Mac OS, so I'm able to do it with activate step. Then I can install the packages that are required, fast API and UVCon. So I can just type it out here, and it is creating all these packages, installing all these packages. Great. So our virtual environment is ready now. Now we can get into the next step where we'll be able to create the REST APIs. So let me just copy this file completely and create a main.py here. And paste the contents here. So in this file, we can go through this file later, but as of now, just understand some basic details. So there are some options that are there for status. So we can only use these three options. Initially, it will be open, and later it can be moved to in progress or done. And these are some objects that are created with all the fields that we have mentioned. So to do create item, so title, description, criticality, urgency, due date, all these can be used to create the item. Then update can be done along with all those fields. Status can also be updated. Then to do item, so this shows the additional fields that we want, created item and status. So it is actually getting all the fields from to do create and adding additional fields here. So there are some APIs that are created here. So let's just get into the next step and run this particular application. So this is the step which we can use. So UVCon main app -- reload, which we can use here. Let's just clear this first to be clear. I'm running this. Tada! I think we got the application running. Application startup complete. Everything is green. Looks great. Okay, now this looks good, but how do we test this? So here you can see the example request that it had provided ChatGPT. So there are multiple requests that it is creating, but we don't know how to hit this endpoint, right? So let me just ask how we can do it. Okay, thanks for this stuff, but I don't know how I can test my APIs. Can you give me some options on how I can do it? Okay, it says that absolutely we'll be giving these options. It says that using the interactive Swagger UI we'll be able to do it, one of the options. And we can use curl in terminal, that is another option. Then we have the option of using Postman. So this is one of the very good tool which we can use to test the APIs. So we will use this in this particular session. So let's just go and open up Postman. Okay, so this is the Postman API collection that I have created. Let me just add a request to this. So this request, let's call it create to do item. Okay, now I don't know what I can do here. So let me just go back to ChatGPT and see what it was saying in the curl. Okay, in the curl it was mentioning that I can do this particular curl to actually create this, right? So let me just copy this. Let's go to code part here, and let's just post this here. Okay, let's just directly use the endpoint to actually hit this. So create to do item should be a post item, so we'll be doing this / and it needs to be to-dos /to-dos, and in the body in a JSON format we'll have to provide this data. So let's just use this data that it gave you as an example. Okay, title is there, description is there, criticality, urgency, due date, all of this information is there. Let's just try to hit this. Okay, I think the item got created and it gave out an UUID. We can use this for future reference. We can do it right away. So we can fetch this, fetch all the items first. Let's say we'll use this endpoint, to-dos endpoint, which we can use. It says that here in the code it says get all to-dos is basically slash to-dos only, but the method will be get. Let's just send it. Yeah, here we are able to get the to-do item. Now let's name this. No problem. Let's go back to the patch. So we have this endpoint again, but we'll have to just add slash and add our ID, unique UID that is created. And in patch, we should be able to give some data which it needs to update. So let's say we'll be updating the status to in progress. What is the option that we have in progress? So in hyphen progress is the one of the options that we have. So we can move this to in progress. So now go back to fetch all APIs, and now I see that the status is in progress. Cool, this looks great. Let me just clean it up by deleting this item. Let's just use the same endpoint. Only thing is the method will be delete this time, and just go and delete. To do deleted is the message. Tada, we have created one new item, we have updated its status, and we got it to delete as well. So here you saw that we have just created one item, and then we updated its status, and we deleted that item as well. So this is how easy it is to actually generate basic applications using ChatGPT. So all that we had to do is give one basic prompt with the at most details as we can, and ChatGPT will be able to understand our requirements very well if we explain the requirements in a proper way. So we cannot just say that create a to-do app. Maybe it will try to create something, but it will not be as good as giving it all the information about how exactly it should look like. Okay, this stuff looks cool. In the future videos, we will be creating a UI for this particular APIs. And in that video, you'll be able to see how ChatGPT is actually generating HTML, CSS, and JavaScript basic UI to actually use these endpoints in the backend. Okay, all, thanks for your time. See you next time.